Okay. Welcome to the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting, September 17th, 2024. If you'd join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Any additions to the agenda? The agenda will stand approved now. Constituent time. Anybody in the room that would like to address the board? Now's your time. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Do I sit here?
Please.
My name is Joe Gilmore. Address is 13514 G Road, Delta, Colorado. I come here today because we have to do something out on our road. I realize that you guys are working on getting the engineering set up for the corner next to my house. I understand that, but it is flat getting dangerous. There has been several cases now that people have rounded the corner coming from town headed to Junction that have skidded across the road. Dang near took out my mailbox because they've lost control. I am scared to death to let my son go irrigate for fear that he's going to get ran over in the irrigating machine that we have. I've got nieces and nephews that's got little kids that are out there playing now. And the way people have been driving coming around the corner, we can't even let them go to the mailbox. With the engineering going on with that corner, I am hoping that it will slow the traffic down and get people to quit using that as a bypass for the corner coming into town. But we've tried to get it knocked off the Google as an alternative route. But with the speed limit left the way it is right now, it still times it to the fact that it's just as quick to take that road as it is to come around the corner. What I would propose for you guys, even before you guys get the engineering completely done, we've got to lower that speed limit coming around there. We have to. When I was a kid, it was 40 to 45 miles an hour all the way through there. When you come off the highway coming through Dubs's, it was 40. Once you hit the straightaway, it went to 45. It slowed down to 35 before you got to the corner. You get to the corner, around it going into town, and it was 45 clear up until you hit the base of the hill. And then it was 30 from there all the way into town. It needs to go back to something like that. And I realize it's not going to slow everybody down. I get that. But it gives the teeth back to the sheriff's department and the state patrol. So when they write a ticket for somebody doing 70, it hurts.
Right.
If we can get that done, my thought is, as fast as Google reacts to speed changes and figures that out real quick, it will make it until the people that are from out of state and out of town will not be taking that road, because it will no longer be a viable bypass for them to come into town. I don't know if there's much else that we can do at this point. I have thought real seriously about getting together and maybe getting a petition started to talk to the state about maybe taking the corner out up there, because nobody that lives out there would be hurt by it. Sheriff's department's got plenty of access going to the highway from other directions. But I haven't kind of got that far yet. I was kind of hoping maybe we could do this and see what it did for everybody at this point first.
Have you noticed more law enforcement presence out there, or is it about the same?
It's about the same. You gotta imagine, as big as Delta County is, sheriffs can't be out there all the time. State patrolmen try to come through there, but they don't have the teeth really to do a whole lot out there on that road. You do notice them a little bit more, but not as, they just can't be out there all the time. That's why I'm suggesting lowering the speed limit until that way it takes it off the viable bypass route. What I'm really afraid of is one of these days somebody's going to come around that corner and they're going to come loose and it's gonna be massive and nasty.
Mhm.
The other day coming from town, turning onto G Road, 5th Street, I coming from City Markets direction, turning on there was 15 cars waiting at that stop sign.
Mhm.
10 of them were from out of town. That's how prevalent that's getting to be.
I was out there at the boat ramp project the other day, and I did just kind of sat there for a minute, just counting cars. And it is absolutely ridiculous, the
Yeah.
amount of traffic on that road right now.
Well, and that road was never designed for that kind of traffic. There's no shoulders on the road. It's narrow.
Right.
And in all honesty, if you drive 50 miles an hour down through that road, you hit the railroad tracks, you'll knock front end out from underneath your car.
Right.
If you get down around the corner there past 1250 road, you can't drive 50 miles an hour down that road, not and be safe. But people do 70, 75 thinking that they can.
Right.
But we got to do something to try and get that to get off that Google deal. Because that's the only thing I could think of is drop it down until it makes it no longer time-wise viable bypass.
I mean, we're looking at, we had this discussion last meeting. We've discussed this a dozen times in the last year or so. And we're looking at implementing something for the entire roadway. So we're talking about, the possibility of a stop sign down at 1250. We're talking about, speed reduction rates. We're talking about stop signs at the Sawmill G50 G Road intersection, plus kind of a redo of that. So it's not not just a sweeping lane to get them to speed up rather than slow down.
Well, and I understand that. I've talked to Mike about it. I've looked at it. I've met with county guys up there to show them what my thoughts were. I get that.
Right.
But this is something that we need to do before somebody gets killed out there on that road or somebody goes through my house.
Goes through your house. Your house has been my concern from day one out there.
Because the way they're coming from town going around that corner, we got to get them to slow down. And I understand that it's not going to help immediately, but it will help.
Right.
Because the people that are taking that road, if it was the local guys driving that road and being a little bit fast, they know where the corners are at.
Right.
But this is out of town people that are coming around there and losing control. And that's getting scary.
And that's on the road and bridge agenda October 1st at 1 o'clock too, so.
For the
Yep.
new corner assessment and stuff.
And the engineering, it should be completed and see what we're gonna implement, what we're gonna do, but, yeah.
This is more of a, even before you guys get started thing, I think you guys need to just go ahead and lower down the speed limit. I mean, even if there's no stop signs implemented right away, it's at least a step in the right direction. Because the last thing you guys want to do is start a road project out there with the amount of people that are coming through.
No, and yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think that might be a prudent approach to this. So we'll take that into consideration also at our work session, because I think you probably have a good point here. So
I know I wouldn't want to be a road guy out there trying to work right now. And I used to do it a lot. I wouldn't want to do it.
no,
All right, guys.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe. Anybody else? Okay.
Ken Schaff of 5H Lane, Delta, Colorado. I'm just gonna follow up on what Joe's comments were in the last time I was in a meeting here. It definitely is, the progression seems to be getting worse week by week. When we were putting the fence in down here for you guys, we had people coming around that corner at 55, 60, and we had cones out and everything else. It doesn't seem to stop them, slow them down. I actually had a couple from Wyoming pull over and ask where Delta was. They were completely lost, and that's the Google app that's doing that. Yesterday, when I was stopped by the train, I was sitting on the bridge. I don't know how many cars guys were behind me. They were backed up. We're talking 50, 60 cars backed up on this road, and there's 10 of us sitting on the bridge waiting for the train. So it's definitely a problem. It's definitely a problem that Joe's the speed. We'd mentioned before, I watched the Camaro come down and knock the bottom of the car off right there at the railroad tracks. I don't know, stop signs are gonna help That's been my recommendation. I've gotten calls from Nick Survey and a couple other residents out there after this made the newspaper the last time and their concerns. I think everybody who lives out there agrees something needs to be done immediately. You guys are working and trying to get this thing taken care of as far as engineering and everything else, but it's not stopping these guys from coming down through there at 60, 70. Some of them probably were getting close to 90 miles an hour when they hit the straightaway. Yesterday, I went back into town after it had cleared. I saw a car that was down there coming by Dubs' place when I was going around the corner there. That car caught me before I got to the top of the hill. How fast he was going, I don't know.
Right.
But, you know, they're doing in excess of 70 miles an hour down through there to catch you. So really just following up on Joe's, the residents that are out there, my mom and dad, you know, God forbid they're on the road to begin with at 85 and 85. But the fact is, they're struggling to pull out off even from our lane onto 1205 lane. And then they're finding it easier to go down the highway. It's a safer route for most residents out there to try to double it back around and go down the highway and use the highway than it is to try to go down a road we all grew up on out there. As Joe said, we all grew up out there. We all rode the school buses out there, the speed limits, and it was dirt at that time. A lot of it was dirt, but the speed limits were 30, 40 miles an hour. We didn't have that problem. Today we have this problem. And I was reading in the blotter that one of your sheriff officers just got hit last week out there by Joe's house. That should tell the problem when we got law enforcement getting hit out there, that people don't care. And we almost had a couple incidents that my father created. He lost the forks of his tractor out there in the dip by Joe's house, and those people coming around, of course, there's a tractor sitting there with flat tires on it. We're trying to get it off the road. People coming over going toward the Honor Farm out there. They're coming over that hill at 60, 70 miles an hour, and it's almost an accident. They almost hit that tractor 2 or 3 different times while we were trying to get out of the road. Granted, that wasn't their responsibility. That was dad, and lost the tractor forks and punctured the tires. But the responsibility is to slow it down enough when they come over that hill that they can see we've got an issue when we're trying to pull that tractor out of the way. So it's an issue all the way from Sawmill Mesa Road to G Road to G50 Road, guys. And I have to agree with Joe. I know there's a work session that can happen. Mike and you guys have stated that, but to put some extra law enforcement out there in the next 2 weeks, do something to try to slow this down, because the problem is just getting worse. And like I said, I'm in here talking about putting that fence up and watching these guys doing 55, 60 miles an hour around the corner both ways. They're coming from the bypass and they're coming across. Some of them are going fast enough, they're almost losing it when they're crossing the railroad tracks right there, that they just about can't hold it. So it is an issue. And, you know, I know that conversations are gonna go on, the private conversations need to go on right now as to maybe how to slow that traffic down a little bit. Right, John?
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Is there anybody on the computer, Lindsay?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the input. We'll go ahead with the agenda. And next up is County Clerk Terry Stevenson.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have the minutes from the August 29th VOCC special meeting. Are there any changes, deletions, or corrections?
None here.
I didn't say anything, but good.
Thank you. I also have the minutes from the September 3rd VOCC regular meeting. Again, any changes, deletions, or
No, none here.
Nope.
I do have a liquor license renewal for Grand Mesa Lodge doing business as Grand Mesa Lodge LLC, doing business as Grand Mesa Lodge, located at 25861 Highway 65. This renewal application was sent to the state prior to coming to me. The state did send it to me requesting local licensing authorities position on it. All necessary documentation has been submitted, and I have been in contact with the sheriff, and there has been no issues. Therefore, I would go ahead and recommend approval of this renewal.
Well, I'll move that the board renew the liquor license for Grand Mesa Lodge LLC, located at 25861 Highway 65 in Cedar Ridge.
I'll step down and second that. There's a motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so done.
I also have an application for a Colorado liquor sales room for the Storm Cellar LLC, doing business as the Storm Cellar. The sales room will be located at the Kiss Flower at 759 Shady Lane in Paonia on September 24th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The application has been sent to the state for their review, and they have reviewed all documentation. And we are looking for local license authorities recommendation as well, and I would recommend approving this sales room.
Okay, well, I'll move that the board approve the application for a Colorado liquor sales room for Storm Cellars LLC to be located at the Kiss Flower at 759 Shady Lane in Paonia, on September 24th, 2024, from 7 to 9 p.m.
I'll step down and second that. There's a motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so done. Okay. We'll continue on with commissioner business. Board's consideration of the proclamation in recognition of September being the 2024 Suicide Prevention Awareness Month for Tri-County Health Network. You get it, there it is. This is something I think that we do on an annual basis, and it talks about the proclamation.
Yeah, so Andrea is, oh, sorry. Adriana, sorry.
there she
she's
is.
On the phone.
Hi. Yeah, I'm the Behavioral Health Services Coordinator with Tri-County Health Network, and I just hopped on today to say we'd really appreciate your support in recognizing September as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Because it's just very prevalent in Colorado. Unfortunately, we have higher rates of suicide than other states, and we just want to create awareness around this topic, as well as hopefully reduce stigma. And we think that proclamations are a great way to start that process.
Thank you. We see all the statistics and read about them, and such a tragic way to one decides to end their life, and it affects the immediate family, and I'm sure friends are devastated when they learn of a suicide that occurs, and there's just a lot of people that have mental health problems and need help. So I'll read the proclamation. This proclamation recognizes suicide as a national and statewide public health problem and suicide prevention as a national and statewide responsibility, and designated September 24 as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in Delta County. Whereas suicide is the 11th leading cause of death in the United States, and in 2023, our region experienced 33 deaths by suicide, predominantly middle to late age white males. Whereas in the United States, 49,476 people died by suicide in 2022, equivalent to one death every 11 minutes. Whereas in 2022, 13.2 million adults seriously thought about suicide, 3.8 million adults made a plan for suicide, and 1.6 million adults attempted suicide. Whereas in 2022, Colorado had the 10th highest suicide rate of states in the United States. 1,293 people died by suicide in Colorado. Whereas organizations such as Tri-County Health Network are dedicated to saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide through research, education, advocacy, and resources for those who have lost someone to suicide who have struggled, or urge that we recognize suicide as a preventable national and state public health problem, that there is no single cause for suicide, that anyone can experience suicidal thoughts, and that recovery from suicidal intention is possible. Number two, acknowledge that no single suicide prevention program or effort will be appropriate for all populations or communities and address the disparity in access to mental health care for underserved and underrepresented group while advocating to end those disparities. Number three, encourage initiatives based on the goals contained in the Colorado National Collaborative for Suicide Prevention and our local suicide prevention awareness and recovery coalition. Number four, develop and implement strategies to improve and increase access to quality mental health, substance abuse, and suicide prevention services and programs, as well as support postvention plans for a community response to a death by suicide. Support the efforts of SPARC in fostering connection and spreading the message that hope lives here. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Mike Lane, Chairman of Delta County Board of Commissioners, hereby designate September 2024 as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in Delta County. And thank you for bringing this to our attention, and thank you for all that you do with the suicide prevention programs. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all so much. We really appreciate that. And we would love for anyone interested to join our coalition.
Thank you very much for attending today.
Okay. Now we'll need to ratify the warrants.
I'll move that the board ratify the warrants from the various funds. Expenditures paid by warrant numbers 152038 through 152319 and ACH transactions 818 through 838 from August 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2024, totaling $1,426,145.22 in accounts payable and $1,773,028.69 in monthly county human services and health department August 2024 payroll for items approved and per Delta County policy, and authorize the chairman to sign.
I move that we do that. Second that. Thank you.
How do you vote?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, very good.
Okey doke. Next up, Lindsay Mitchell with our BOCC schedule.
Morning. Today, after this meeting, there is a UVWUA task force meeting at the Montrose Library. From 1 to 2:30, there is are you doing a road and bridge work session today?
Yeah.
3:30 to 5, a Board of Health meeting here at 560 Dodge Street. Wednesday, September 18th, 9 to 1:30 is an AGNC Colburn Board meeting. The location is to be determined. That day, Wednesday, September 8th is also 18th, excuse me, is also the Delta Police Department grand opening that begins at 1 at the new police department in Delta. Thursday, September 19th is the CCI steering committee. That is a virtual meeting starting at 4 p.m.
The CCI steering committee, that's actually on the 20th, starting at 8:30. 8:30 to 3:30.
Thank you. Is that virtual?
Yes,
8:30 to 4:30.
yes.
Thank you. Tuesday, September 24th, 1 to 2 is a work session for Delta County nonprofit here at 560 Dodge Street. Tuesday, October 1st is our next scheduled Board of County Commissioners regular scheduled meeting. And then at 6 p.m. that day is the Republican meeting.
We will have a road and bridge work session that day at 1.
That day.
Mhm.
And that'll give us some period.
On the 24th, there's a work session at 1 o'clock, you say?
Yes.
I have it at
That's 11.
I have it at 11.
Yeah. get that changed, so I will. Thank you.
Okay. Middle of September already.
I know. Not ready for winter. All right, thank you. Anything else?
Nope, that'll do it.
Thank you, Lindsay. I'll read the jail report for Sunday, September 8th, 2024, the Delta County Detention Facility Population Count, male inmates County Jail 38, female inmates County Jail 7, male inmates Department of Corrections 5, female inmates Department of Corrections 1, for a total of 51. Average daily inmate population for the week of 9/2/24 through 9/9/24 was 53.57. For Sunday, September 15th, 2024, Delta County Detention Facility Population Count, male inmates County Jail 32, female inmates County Jail 8, male inmates Department of Corrections 5, female inmates Department of Corrections 1, for a total of 46. The average daily inmate population for the week of 9/9/24 through 9/15/24 was 51.11. Next up, we have Human Services at 9:30. So we'll stand adjourned until 9:30. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back to the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting. It's 9:30 and now we have Human Service, Danny Gallegos and her crew. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. We will start off this monthly report with financials.
So this month's payable report is pretty boring, just how we like it. Next month, we'll start seeing a little increase with the TANF education payout and some of the pass-through grant. They were a little slow giving us invoices last month. So next month, you'll start seeing those. Were there any questions on the payables report?
Nope, looked standard to me.
Okay. And then overall, at the end of July, we are, should be around 58% expended, and we are at 56.3. We've been hovering at that 2% under, which is good. Wanna be over? Is there any question regarding where we are for budget?
No, I have none.
No.
Easy today.
Yeah.
For just a little update on leave is we'll start November 1st. Those who had leave last year, applications will be mailed out next month/October. I think our meeting said to mail that they'll be mailed out in end of September. I think last year they were mailed out mid-September, even though it doesn't officially start until November 1st. We did get another 20,000 for outreach again, and we still have a few weeks to use last year's. So we partnered with GIS and the assessor's office to do a strategic mail out to areas that could use LEAP more or have trended that they could. So those will go out next month, I believe. We're making postcards that have English on one side, Spanish on the other, and then they'll have the reach well, how to sign up for that for more notifications going forward as well. So that's what I'm doing.
And we'll still have, Tatiana will have dedicated hours in which she can assist with those applications and denials.
Do you think there'll be more people use it this year than in past? Really?
Well, with the strategic mail out, we're definitely gonna track it more. So part of that outreach funding is we have goals on how many more applications we receive and how much more help Tatiana or our office gives LEAP applicants. So at the end of the season, we'll be tracking that. So I'll keep that on the update for my section for each meeting.
And one of our goals also is to improve the denial rate so that when there's a denial that comes across for LEAP, if it's just missing a verification or things like that, that's Tatiana's goal, is to undo that so it moves into the approval process.
So child welfare, 2 months now that we've been substantially up. Are we expecting that to be the new norm, or is this just a cycle, or?
I think this is our new norm.
Okay,
We did also have two high acuity youth that really put a dent into our budget because of funding. So they spent a significant time in the hospital while they were waiting for placement. One is still in the state, the other one is out of state in placement currently. And so that was new for us, but that payment was significant. We did receive some assistance from the Ray to help with the county share portion, and so that's helping. But we did expend that cost for his placement.
About 70,000.
I know it's a 20% county share on that, but if that's the new norm, that could cut into our 2% pretty quick there, so. And then a big jump in SNAP, is that just start of school year stuff or?
Yes, that's the summer EBT, right? Yeah. So that comes through, does it come through more than once during the summer, or is it just one lump sum payment?
For this year, it's just the one lump sum payment that they made, and that covered the 3 months of the summer.
Okay, okay.
We are anticipating, so there was rule that went into effect September 1st, so you'll see it next month, about kinship payments. So kinship previously wasn't reimbursed. You had to be licensed as a foster home or apply for caretaker relative TANF. If you did that, though, you had to open a child support case. And so a lot of families were hesitant to do that, but it went into effect that there is now funding that supports kinship at a certain rate. And so the kin can decide if they want those payments or not, they get to choice. But if so, then they agree to having that be paid out just the same way it does as out-of-home payroll, like for a foster home. So it's a reimbursable. The hard part is it still does count as income.
Right.
So what happens is if those kin families are on benefits, it could negatively affect their benefits at this time.
So that was gonna be my question. You know, I know we've got several families in the area where we've got great grandparents raising kids.
Mhm.
They're on Social Security.
Mhm.
So that's a tricky tightrope there for some of these people.
Yes. So as of right now, the way that it's written is that it will impact and those incomes. So whether that's for SNAP or medical assistance, Social Security, it's gonna count as income, which is unfortunate. The plan is that currently it will come from TANF dollars that will get pulled into the block. So it's not an addition to our block, but it's also, that's not the long-term plan. So now we're looking at probably having to continue those payments, but not receive an increase in our allocation in years going forward, so.
So they have a huge issue with future TANF funding, and then they pull TANF funding out for this.
You are correct.
That sounds like something the state of Colorado would do.
It's that 1259 was significant, and it's still gonna have significant impacts. I think there are counties that are predicting that it will drain their reserves in the next couple of years. There are counties that are not engaging in any contracts, like we do contracts with Backpack Program or Haven House, for example. They're not initiating any of those contracts because with the increase in basic cash assistance, it will come out of county reserves. State, supposedly it will go, it was first will be ARPA funds, then state reserves, and as a portion, once those come down, it will go county reserves. So that's where they're getting their formula. But some counties are predicting within a couple of years that they will not have any reserves, which also is used for emergency planning funding.
That's all they gotta do is look at the projected state revenues and know that that's coming down the pike, so.
And right now, the daily rate for that reimbursement is 12% of the foster care daily rate. So right now it's estimated about 8,000, and then they're gonna up it to 50% of the child maintenance rate. So then it's gonna be 5 times that each month. So right now it's at 8. And we're small.
Yeah. So, and essentially, I mean, I believe the support should be there for kin. I don't think anybody's advocating that it shouldn't be. It's just balancing where that support comes from. And so for counties, depending on your size, it's a significant impact to your allocation.
the uptick in the kids, is it neglect, abuse, combination of both?
So a lot of these families actually are just our traditional cases that we have, so nothing significantly trending. I mean, we trend higher in drug exposure than, I wouldn't say more necessarily than other counties, but we've always trended higher. I think, John, the last time we talked about it was like 60 to 65% of TNNs were substance abuse related. So the placements haven't changed, it's just now the support is there, so, and then it's available to them, and it's their choice if they want to accept it, but really, when you're looking at raising, you know, your grandkid, or your niece, your nephew for 2 years of time, or, you know, into the future indefinitely, or even if it's just a couple months, it's still an impact. Kids are expensive. So we wanna.
Well, I guess that's the part that's most frustrating is I know some of these families that, you know, they're barely making ends meet, trying to raise a couple of great grandchildren. And they can't afford to lose their social security for kinship benefits, so. Okay.
I think the goal and the strategy is to encourage kin to become licensed. So there is a part of that bill that we are looking forward to, which will also allow for the rules. Traditionally, if kin wanted to become certified, they had to go through the exact same process as a traditional foster home, which is pretty intensive, and there's a lot of elements for it. However, that bill allows a track that is much lighter, easier to navigate, and less significant time. And so if that happens, then the goal is you move them over into the certification instead of keeping them in just the kinship paid support, because that is more financial support, more advocacy. The CPA can provide a lot of support to the family just being in the home as well. And then you draw down federal funds, and that's what covers those fees. So that's the goal.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, moving on from financials, we just have a few updates from each program area. I think one of the things I wanted to highlight, and then I'll turn it over to Lori for anything she wanted to highlight, but eligibility, we've talked about this several times before, and I think we continue to talk about it, which is CBMS and the delays and the downtime. One of the things Lori highlighted for the report also was on August 22nd, when there was technical issues, there were 52,000 transactions throughout the state that were backlogged. And so that's including us as well. And so those continue to have impacts to staff and to the community. And so that's just still something we're working on. We continue to work with the state and partner with HCPF as well for just navigation and support, but it's still weighing hard on the technicians, and they're working very hard. The unit is at about 50% capacity right now, and we're still achieving our timeliness, which is significant. And so I just want to highlight how hard they really are working as staff and acknowledge them.
Thank you. They are working very hard. One of the things we reported out was that we had lost one of our case managers. She actually decided to change her mind, decided to stay with us. So that is null and void now.
We had cake for her one day to say goodbye, and the next day she came back.
We needed one piece of good news today. Thank you, Lori.
So that was a good thing. I would say the other struggle that we're seeing is with the Medicaid applications, long-term care Medicaid specifically, because the state HCPF has now put a hold on any Medicaid cases being denied. And so even though they're not eligible, those cases aren't denying. Even if we deny them, they turn back around and get reopened. One in particular that we're having issues with that has an attorney, and they need the case to be closed, and we can't provide that to them. And so, you know, the state is not giving us the support that we need in order to help those individuals. If they really want their case closed, we should be able to close the case. But we're not able to do that. So that's a struggle for us right now, is the Medicaid long-term care. Yep.
Thanks. Child support still doing well, meeting their marks. They are still down to legal technicians at this time. But we're still seeking applications and hoping to hire, and just, it was a loss to their unit because the staff that we had a previous experience as well. And so that was difficult, but they are holding steady. so far. Child welfare, right now, I believe it will be one last training this week, and then on Friday, the switch gets flipped and differential response goes into action. So Lynette can tell you more about that.
Yes, so we have couple of state representatives, at least one coming out on Friday. They're working with Montrose County on Thursday and we are Friday, so they'll be in person. We will have group supervision and the other DR practices that them and others from around the state get to watch on video. To be able to provide us feedback and support, and everything is a go. We have a staff meeting this afternoon where we'll finalize the schedule for that day and we should be good to go. And the staff is very excited about being able to practice differential response and the difference that may make for a lot of families. Not being worried about a finding, just being worried about solving the problem. And so
Very good.
we're very excited.
Good.
Want to go on to adult protection as well?
Yeah, adult protection. We had made an offer to a caseworker and at the very end of it, she had to withdraw for her own reasons. So we have reposted for an adult protection caseworker and a lead caseworker, knowing that we're only filling one FTE. Right now, we have one staff at the National Adult Protection Association Conference. She went on a scholarship, so we didn't have to pay for it.
We like those.
I think the total was 80. There's 80 representatives from Colorado that were granted scholarships to attend this conference in New Mexico.
Yeah, so we're excited to see what she brings
Very
back
good.
and different practices. So we have one caseworker this month. I have been carrying a couple of APS cases as well to help support them because the workloads are just simply too high. Which that's my job. I'm fine with that, but it does demonstrate that we need more support. We recently had an ARD audit review. And the administrative review division spent a lot of time with us going over their instrument, explaining the rules, and we learned a lot from the process. And I believe we really did well overall. I don't have the final data back, or if they've sent it, I haven't read it yet because I just got back from vacation this morning. But we're excited about that too, and what we can do to even improve and simplify our documentation to make sure it meets criteria.
They didn't have any concerns or challenges in our practice, though that was actually the strength. And so they were impressed with the team, and they've changed the way their assessment looks. So if I'm going to perform an assessment in an adult protection case, there's 72 items you have to go through and document. So you're trying to capture all of those at the same time. My favorite example that I love to give is the question talks about mobility and if you can drive a car. Well, the question, essentially, you have to document, not even if you say, I watched so-and-so drive away in a car so they can drive, that's not the question. The question wants to know if they have the ability to get into the car and out of the car. So you're being very like fine-tuned, right? And so you have to narrow down on specifically what they want documented. And so as with new staff, because we have a quarter-time staff that is adult protection and child welfare. And so just going over those things that are very, very fine detail. And they're working on that tool because we've been talking about it for years being very burdensome. But we'll see what the outcome is once they're completed it.
So when our APS referrals are up, is this mostly financial inflation related, or is this just a little bit of everything?
We do see more with people that are in poverty. Definitely, that's one of the factors. There's been a little bit of a rise with substance abuse related referrals as well. And we're definitely seeing an increase in caretaker neglect. And so we actually have a death investigation going on right now involving caretaker neglect that we made a founded finding on.
And self-neglect, which is a lot of your cases and individuals in poverty is usually about 60 to 65% of what we see come in usually. And but that's been a trend for years. That's pretty, and it's consistent with the state's numbers as well.
The caretaker neglect, are they neglecting other patients? Do we know?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the caretaker neglect is like a loved one who is taking care of someone, so not necessarily at a facility. The fatality was at a facility. And we don't see a lot of that. We see much less of that.
But normally it's family members.
Oh, and they maybe don't understand or recognize the symptoms or something like that?
Or they're so burned out that they
Oh.
don't have the capacity to care enough anymore.
Caretaker burnout.
So is this person still in the facility taking care of residents?
No, often in their homes.
Oh,
I'm talking about the person.
no, because it involves actually multiple agencies, including law enforcement, and so they step in and do their steps for the facility, while we just investigate the actual incident there. But they're much more extensive, because it's a facility, they have much more to answer to. for that. Yep, and Dora, licensable staff.
That's a good start.
But I think that's what we have to report. Pretty light day today, just an update and no action items, so.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
All right,
appreciate it.
have a great day.
Okay.
Annie, you got 1 second?
Yep.
Okay.
Next up is planning at 10 o'clock, so we'll take a few minute recess and be back for planning at 10 o'clock. Okay, welcome back. 10 o'clock, it's planning. We have a couple of items on there, so we'll turn it over to the planning department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, it's a little bit slow. Okay, so today we have a request of release of Lot 3, Block 5 of the Adobe Sunset subdivision. It's located on the west side of 200 Road in Delta. So we don't have much about the Adobe Sunset subdivision, I apologize. But the final plat was recorded on May 14th, 1997, with reception number 504566. A subdivision improvement agreement was re-recorded on March 19th, 2002, under reception number 553165. Improvements to this subdivision included roads to be inspected, fire hydrants to be installed, water system improvements, electrical improvements, road signs, and open space fees to be paid. So planning staff had received a letter of compliance from Jan Pappas requesting to release Lot 3, Block 5 of the Adobe Sunset subdivision, Phase 2. As improvements to this lot have been made by the roads, have been issued an access permit on October 9th, 2023. Fire hydrants were paid in the escrow account on July 2nd, 2002. Water system improvements, there has been a Tri-County water tap that was purchased November 18th, 2020. Electrical improvements, DMEA submitted an email to Jan Pappas on October 19th, 2023, confirming an active service is connected to the subject parcel. Road signs, no road signs are required for this subdivision, and the open space fees were paid to Delta County on July 2nd, 2002. So with that, staff recommends that your board accept the request of release for Lot 3, Block 5 of the Adobe Sunset subdivision, Phase 2, and authorize the commissioners to sign the release. And that is all I have, and Jan Pappas is here.
Okay.
You got something to add, Jan?
Nope, what she said.
Everything she said. Okay, very good. Well, this one's pretty simple, and I like to see when we get these things checked off and get these lots released. So I will move that the board approve the lot release for Lot 3, Block 5 of the Adobe Sunset Subdivision Phase 2.
I'll step down and second that. Motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so done.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
much.
Thank you.
The second item we have is a request for approval for a grant application. The planning department is preparing to apply for a local planning capacity grant through DOLA. The intent of the program is to increase the capacity of local government planning departments to address affordable housing, especially by expediting development review, permitting, and zoning of affordable housing. To be eligible for the grant, we must have established a Proposition 123 affordable housing commitment that has been accepted by the Division of Housing, and we have done that. We filed ours in October last year to increase affordable housing in their jurisdiction by 43 qualifying units within 3 years. So our application for this grant is part of our effort to fulfill that commitment. The application is due on September 30th, and it requires a 20% cash match from local governments. So I'm presenting the summary of our basic proposal now and hope to gain your approval for our application and to demonstrate to DOLA that we have support from local elected officials for this effort. So we are going to apply for basically 2 projects. The first project is to simplify and accelerate the development of accessory dwelling units as an affordable housing option throughout unincorporated Delta County. And the second project is to assess our IT needs and requirements to move planning, GIS, and engineering to an integrated digital customer service and permit management system. So that's the 2 projects. We're looking at a maximum application of 115,000 project total. That means we'd be planning to ask DOLA for 92,000 with a 23,000 match from the county. The average award is approximately 106,000, so we're in the ballpark there for that. To just give you more of an idea of what these projects would entail, the first project to simplify and accelerate the development of ADUs, or accessory dwelling units. We want to do that by researching and developing solutions to 2 major constraints that will determine the property owner's ability and cost to develop an ADU. The first is water companies' supply and policies regarding ADUs. So we have 140 plus water companies throughout the county. We want to understand what's their supply, what's their policy regarding ADUs. Also, the second constraint is OWTS, or septic system. Septic systems and what would be needed to be done to augment them to accommodate the addition of an accessory dwelling unit. We also want to assess any ways to reduce any friction in our application process for ADUs. And then to finalize everything, we want to pull together that research on these matters and contract with a firm to help us develop this research into an ADU production program with an affordable housing incentives package. There are lots of incentives for affordable housing, and then a promotion plan, and to package it all into a digital step-by-step guide and a print step-by-step guide. So that's project 1. Project 2 is then looking at assessing our needs and requirements to move to an integrated digital customer service and permit management system for 3 departments: planning, GIS, and engineering. So we wish to contract someone with data engineering and GIS capability to help us holistically analyze our departmental processes, our interdepartmental workflows, and property developers' needs. And with that information, we want to develop a really solid RFP specifying the technical functionality and requirements we need in our software selection. And then we'd like that technical assistance to carry through in selecting, negotiating, and contracting with the best software solution. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we met with DOLA twice about these two proposals. They confirmed that they meet the intent of the grant, and that the two proposals are, bundled into one grant proposal. It's perfectly acceptable. And that's basically what we're asking for. So are there any questions I can answer about that?
You said there were 140 water companies in the county. Is that domestic water services?
Right,
We don't about that many ditch companies in the county too.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, that's the major constraint. I mean, one of the major constraints. I guess all there is to ask is, do we have your support for applying for this grant and implementing these projects if awarded?
I'll move that the board authorize the planning department to apply for a DOLA grant for local planning capacity. And good luck.
Thank you.
I'll step down and second that. Motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're done. Good deal. Good, yeah, good luck. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's all from planning?
That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mhm. Next up was county attorney at 10:30.
Oh, Chairman, that's only an executive session, so at your, if you want to, I think that probably could be moved up. There's no public participation and it's an executive session, so that's up to you if you want to move that up.
Fine by me.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, so thank you. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioner.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
So there's one item on first consideration for this morning, and that well, not for your consideration, but for executive session. Pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 24-6402 sub 4 sub A, which is purchase of real property. Also 24-6402 4E, which is negotiations. The topic would be discussion and instruction regarding the potential purchase of real estate located in the Hotchkiss, Colorado area. I would remind all those present to keep your comments and discussion only to that matter. Terry, this is not under advice of counsel, so the recording would stay on, but it is closed. It's a closed executive session, but the recording would stay on. It's not listed under executive, under advice of counsel.
So we're gonna stop recording here.
No. Well,
Well,
this is going off.
Okay, so we're gonna stop here and adjourn.
yes.
All right, you were talking about two different things. One is the recording.
Okay, tell me when.
Whatever the Zoom is for this,
Tell me when I need to stop.
that would be fine, so.
Well, I'll move that the board go into executive session for the discussion of purchase of real property under subsection 24-6-402 sub 4 sub A of the Colorado Revised Statutes. Present in this executive session will be Mike Lang, Don Supas, John Bear, Terry Stevenson, and we will adjourn immediately following.
I'll step down and second that. Motion is second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so done.
Oh, so that would go off, that would stay on.
Goodbye.